We'll bring in our 1320 Kings insider, James Ham.
Oh,
did James freeze before we brought him in? Oh, nope, there he is. Nope, he's here. He's here.
I'm here, but I'm switching to Wi-Fi because I hardwired in, and clearly that's not going to fly.
My favorite part about all of this is we all find it funny, but it really pisses James off.
James crosses two sticks.
Like James is not nearly as amused by his Wi-Fi failing here on the show.
Shades of when Roseville hated on Damian. He kept him off the show. Yeah. Where they had you at the Nugget parking lot?
They booted me out for like 4.5 hours. The show's only 4 hours. That's how long they booted me out. James.
Oh no.
That's official. There's an official James Ham freeze before we even get into the first question.
Screenshot this. Screenshot.
We just wanted to talk Kings basketball.
Screenshot.
The Auburn Destroyers, or whatever James's internet called, is. Oh wait, we might have two Jameses here. Hang on, James, you gotta laugh at this stuff, man. It's a very visual bit. I'm so sorry. I'll take Frozen James out. Oh, all right, man.
Hi guys.
Hi James.
What's going on, James?
Hi James. We just learned Jimmy Butler's out tonight, and the Kings fan base collectively just got nervous.
Where is that at?
Yeah, so we were. It was interesting. You had just tweeted out your injury report, and maybe 2 or 3 minutes later, Chris Haynes, our good friend, Chris Haynes tweeted that Jimmy Butler is in fact out of tonight's game because of, I think it left hip tightness.
Yeah, I've got it right here. Yeah, ridiculous. Well, good for the Kings.
Not good. Are you new?
No, I'm not new, but like I gotta be. I wasn't super impressed with what I saw from the Heat last time they played. And we'll see. We'll see if it's a good thing or not. I mean, Kings need this win. That's all there is to it.
They were impressive last night. I thought Miami was impressive last night. I thought that was a good win for them. I thought, there was some maybe not Golden State's best go at it, but I thought that was a good run from Miami last night.
Yeah, I like the little video, the clip we've seen of Jordan Poole like mocking. Who is he mocking? Kyle Lowry. That's fun,
I missed that.
I didn't see that either.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, he's sitting there like, giving his little Kyle Lowry face. Yeah, like, look, the Kings have to look at every single one of these games as individual games that they can go out and win. And I like that Mike Brown likes to break up the season into 5-game increments, but he also really does focus on the daily. And he needs this team to play well and to go out there and really fight through. And, every single one of these wins just moves you closer back to 500. So when you dig a hole, there is no time to waste. You don't get to just, trick off games, as Buddy Hield used to say. You got to be focused and go in there and look for a win against a team that's shorthanded. And even though you're missing your leading scorer as well.
Wow. I thought we talked about it on Monday. And I thought the Kings did a really good job of, eventually answering the call and being able to come away with it, because Monday was an opportunity, right? We talked about an opportunity to kind of get you one step closer to getting, I like to say, getting your head above water. And we joke about it with Jimmy Butler being out and everything, and we are not confident with Jimmy out or any superstar, but here's another opportunity. And if you are a different Kings team, I don't want to say it's must win, or if you lose, then you're not a different. I'm not saying that, but here's another opportunity to show that, hey, it might be a little different this year. We have a little bit different focus when we come into these situations and approach these different opportunities to take advantage of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good point. I mean, like, look, this team has historically just been bad in these situations. And You got to figure out ways to get through it and ways to prove that you aren't the same old Kings. And, like this is, you only get so many chances. Like if you just keep falling 3, 4, 5, 6 games under 500, it is really difficult to make it up in the long run. And, like we looked at this first 10 games of the season, and I think, a conservative person would have said like, okay, they'll probably go like 3-7. Well, you have a chance to go 3-4 with some opportunities for some more wins. Like, can you get out of the first 10 games at 500? And that would be like stunning. But like, that's what this team needs to do. They need to prove that they belong. And so far, it's been hit and miss. But I like if you look at the last 2 games, they faced adversity in both games. One game they had a huge lead and blew it. And another game they had a big deficit and they made it up. And they're showing some resiliency that, maybe hasn't been there consistently. But, you're only as good as your last game in this business. And so they need to keep proving that this is who they are. And Mike Brown needs to keep, focusing on getting this team better each and every day, figuring out some real basic stuff like how to keep Sabonis out of foul trouble and, how to get everyone involved, how to survive without De'Aaron Fox, your leading scorer. So I think, the Heat might be looking at the Kings as easy pickings here, and they might be making the mistake as well of just overlooking a team that's actually pretty hungry right now.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they're going to make that mistake again, given Eric Spoelstra's post-game press conference following the Kings win a couple of nights ago against Miami. But you brought up De'Aaron Fox. I do want to get your perspective on that and what you've been able to find out. All accounts are nothing serious, and while he's being evaluated on a day-to-day basis, there is at least a chance he'll play Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a chance. We don't really know. When the team is away, it's difficult. Plus, like, let's be honest, there is no traveling media right now. So there aren't a bunch of people asking questions in post-game press conferences to kind of get to the bottom of what's happening. So that's gonna take a little while to figure out. As far as like what we know, I mean, he did have an MRI, which tells you that they thought it was serious enough just to look inside there and make sure he didn't do any major damage. A bone bruise is never great, but it really does depend on where the bone bruise is, how it is. When Marvin Bagley got his bone bruise a couple of years ago, it was that weird play where he came down sort of falling backwards and hit his heel on the ground really hard, and it jarred his knee and gave him a bone bruise inside the knee. I'm not sure that that's what we're talking about with Fox. I would like to know a little bit more about where the bone bruise is and stuff like that. But it's certainly not knee soreness, which is what our first initial, we were told initially. So yeah, I mean, a bone bruise, it just depends on the player, depends on where it's at, depends on how quickly he heals. I would not expect him to be out long-term, and he doesn't seem like he wants to sit long-term either. He's not going to, and might not be one of those things too, where if you play on it, it gets worse. So it's not like a hamstring or a calf strain where if you step the wrong way, you could make it worse. It's going to be about pain tolerance.
Yeah. I'm hoping, that he is able to come back on Saturday. Because Jason Jones brought this up when we were doing a pod the other day. And he's like, typically, whatever the diagnosis is, if it's, day to day or, week or two, in his career, De'Aaron typically has come back quicker than that. So, he's been able to, heal relatively fast in the past.
One notable exception.
Damn ankle soreness.
Soreness.
But yeah, I'm hoping that, we see him on Saturday. I thought it was good news that we were able to see, or somebody saw him out on the court. It was
Anthony Slater.
Saw him out on the court today, moving around and warming up. So obviously he won't play, but him being out there is a pretty good sign.
No, that's a really good sign. That's a very, very good sign. Even the fact that he went back out on the court and it was like, I don't think this is good. Mm-hmm. Like, I thought that still was a good sign. It was a sign that he at least understood that it was probably more pain management than it was anything else. And again, like, you don't want a player to risk something out there. So, he got hit in the hard knee-to-knee contact. it really just depends on how the hit goes. Like if it knocks the knee out, you can get some ligament stretching and some damage. If he got him on the outside of the knee and pushed it in, it just looked like that was going to be painful, that he'd probably have a good sized bruise. And that can even be like on the outside, but a bone bruise is, more substantial than just like a standard like deep thigh bruise or just a bruise on the outside. And again, it really does depend on the player. Fox has proven in the past. I mean, the grade 3 ankle sprain, where I think he came back in 17 games. He was out a total of, I think, 7 weeks, and most of the time you're looking at 10 to 12. I think it was 17 games he missed that year, and Lonzo Ball missed 30 with the same injury.
Jeez.
So yeah, it is one of those things where he is a quick healer. And he's kind of had buzzard luck. He had COVID one season, cost him some games. He finished the season with the broken bone in his hand last year. Could he have played? Maybe, if it mattered, but that wasn't going to happen. So, he has had a little bit of bad luck.
James, we haven't really got a chance to talk to you since the Charlotte game. That was a unique one for the Kings. This year, they obviously go down big in the first half, don't play particularly well. Some adjustments made there at halftime, and they take a good chunk of that lead, or a good chunk of that deficit out right there in the first couple of minutes, and then we saw them kind of gather themselves and get another win. What was your thoughts on the way the team performed, particularly there in the second half of that game?
Yeah, I thought it was a good rally, and I also, like, when I watch games like this, there's the game within the game. So I thought for Davion Mitchell, it was a really, really good game for him to get out there, stretch his legs, feel comfortable, know that the team needs him big time, and come through some clutch plays. I thought that Trey Lyles was tremendous again. He's doing things that are just sneaky good. Like, he's got 3 blocks in the last 2 games, and 2 of them are like huge, game-changing, in-the-moment blocks that are like just stunning, that you don't expect from him. I thought Matthew Dellavedova, that guy hasn't played hardly at all in like 6 years. And for him to step on the court and play I think he played 8 minutes, scored 3 points, had 3 assists, and ran a +10 in a game that you were trailing in most of that time. I just thought that was spectacular. And that's why you're seeing why they kept him. He's a full-fledged game manager. He's a guy who came in and handled the show, set his teammates up, got everybody in position. When the shot was his to take, he didn't hesitate. And I thought all of that was a good sign. And it shows you, again, like, De'Aaron Fox is a guy that, like, while he doesn't intend to miss games, he does miss games. And sort of the style of play is to go hard at the rim. He does get hit. He does, miss games because of that. And having a third point guard can be really valuable. Now it's up to Mike Brown to figure out, like, which guy is hitting on which night, right? So Kevin Huerter, he kind of knows right now is like spectacular. Just run him out there as much as you can. But can you get Harrison Barnes to find some consistency? Can you get Sabonis to stay out of foul trouble? I mean, that's just become like a big time issue. It's a huge, huge problem that this team has. And then on top of that, can you have maybe Rashawn Holmes have a moment like Davion where he steps into the spotlight and plays really, really well and then can build off of that? And I think that's, like, with Davion, to get back to him, I really do think this is a game where he'll build off of and he'll be ready. But the fact is, he has to understand that when he's not the starter, that he has to maximize that first 6 minutes or he's just not going to play. Like, they've got other things brewing here. And if he can't get comfortable, like, you're just not going to play. So I think this is a really good opportunity for him. It's a good opportunity for him to play with other players that he really hasn't played that much with. Guys like Huerter that he hasn't played with. He's played with Keegan, but even playing with Sabonis, he really hasn't played that much with Sabonis outside of like the 15 games last year. So big moments, and that's a good win for them. Charlotte they're a tough team. They can beat you. They're not some schlub now. You got to go in there and you get a road win like that. That's tough.
I want to talk about Davion and Sabonis as well, but I do want to kind of just go back to what you mentioned with Delly, because I remember you talked about, in training camp after he, finally made it. I think you said you had a moment with him the other day in the locker room, and that stayed in my mind as he was out there in that third quarter and producing and hitting big shots and making good passes and doing all this other stuff. What a good moment for him, man. That was good to see, him get back to that point, after being out of the league. What we say, 3 years he's been out of the league?
No, he played, but he barely played. And
Okay.
I looked at the stats today. Over his so he played last year in Australia, but over the previous 5 seasons before that, he only played 156 out of a possible 400 games. And like he just has not been able to stay healthy. So to get him out there and to have him like perform well, show that he can still be valuable in specific roles, I think it's great. Again, if Davion Mitchell doesn't want to learn how to fit into the second unit and is going to continue to struggle when that's his role, like you might have to go to Dellavedova for stretches of the season and let Davion learn from the bench, if that's the way it goes. Now, I think this will be a good moment for Davion to step in and like kind of build on something, but at the same time, like Dellavedova showed that he can play. Now, can he play 60 games? I don't know. That's going to be a tough call. But I certainly think that that he's a guy that fits. He fits what they're trying to do. He fits the culture, and he's another coach for them on the floor.
Well, a couple of things. One, we kind of speculate. We don't. The Delhi's max is probably 8 to 12 minutes. Like I don't think you want to get into a position where you're playing him too much more than that. Two, I feel like you're really hard on Davion.
Maybe.
I know Davion hasn't played. I know Davion hasn't played great this season prior to, the Charlotte game. And James, we've tried to point this out all, since the end of that game. He played really well before, like when he was just in the rotation with De'Aaron Fox, like before De'Aaron was ruled out and he wound up getting all of those second half minutes. He had come out and it was clearly already in the first half, it was the best game of his career. And I understand that he hasn't played certainly even where I thought he would be this year, but I feel like you're really hard on him.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I am. But I'll tell you, like in his first 5 games, he's averaging 4.4 points, 2.2 assists. He was shooting 34.6% from the field, 16% from 3. It's not just the way his numbers either. It's what you're seeing on the court. Like I think he was trying to be really physical on the defensive end, but on the offensive end, he just didn't look like he wanted to fit in. And that's a problem. Like you need everybody. Like we have this all-in mentality. And to be honest with you, I don't think he's the only one that I can say that about, that something looks off with him. And I mean, I'll say the same thing every time I see Chimezie Metu step on the floor. There are some things that he's doing that just don't look like what everyone else is doing. But it's about like accepting your role and then trying to be great in your role. And if you're great in your role at the NBA level, your role will expand. And so I just feel like he came in like almost like wanting to compete for the starting job, opposite of De'Aaron Fox, or instead of De'Aaron Fox. And that's what it felt like. And I get it. Like you want guys to be motivated and have all, want to be good and want to be great and all that. And he's a hard worker. Same time, like once the season starts and you're given a role, like you got to do your role and you got to figure out a way to be good. And we talk about this team, like for the first like 5 games, I think their main core 5-man group of like Fox, Herter, Barnes, Sabonis, and Murray was like this. There's like second in the league in 5-man units and like plus minus and in offensive rating and defensive rating. And you're losing games because the bench has been so off. And it's part of that. Like you have to accept your role at the NBA level. You have to understand who it is that you're going to be. And I feel bad that, he's up against like Kevin Herter and a 6'7" Kevin Herter and Malik Monk. Like if you're coming into camp trying to compete for a starting job alongside De'Aaron Fox, that's just not going to happen. And, having a big backcourt does help you. Even for Malik Monk, he had to accept it very quickly that he was not going to be the starter. So you got to move on, and you got to excel with whatever it is they're asking you to do.
I agree that he's in a position. He's in his second year. I know he's not like a 19-year-old, but he's in his second year in the NBA, trying to figure out some things, and coming from a place where he was the leader of a national championship team, so he's trying to figure some things out. I will say this: if we get to the point where Mike Brown feels like, I think I need to go to Delhi as the backup point guard, this season is doomed.
Yeah, we're
this season is doomed. So trouble. Let's not even hope. Not that you're hoping, but let's not even consider that going down the.
Yeah, I think you're going to give like Davion a really, really long time to figure things out, but that doesn't mean that there doesn't come a point where it's like, look, man, we gave you 20 games, we gave you 25 games, and we're still seeing the same things. Like, and again, it's not about physical limitations. It's not about whether he's a good scorer or he's a great assist man. It's about accepting a role, and it's such a hard thing for young players to do, because he does come from a championship team, right? But how many of the guys on this team have won big playoff games, have been, to the NBA finals, who have been highly successful as college players? I mean, I think that was, again, one of my favorite moments in the locker room was, I think it was Iman Shumpert brought in his championship ring, and then to one up him, Corey Brewer brought in his 2 from Florida. Like, these things, like, it's great, but again, if that's who you were, like who you're gonna be and who you have to be now, those are different things. And if you're not willing to accept that, you don't stick in the league. Like, that's the way it goes. And so that's the danger of young players. You thought you're getting a more mature young player, so you hope that he gets through that pretty quickly. But again, it's part of the process. Guys have to accept their roles and play to their strengths.
Do you think he played differently on Monday? Or did not, you thought he played differently? Okay, what did he do different then?
Yeah, I think he settled in and like he didn't search for shots at nearly as much. There was still some dribbling, but it wasn't nearly as much as it was before. And when he did dribble, it was decisive. Like, okay, he took off dribbling and he's attacking the rim. That's what he has to do. Like, we can talk about, whether Fox passes enough and all that stuff. There will be people out there who believe he doesn't. But I think Brendan Nunes put out a stat today, something like when the Kings are on the court, when De'Aaron Fox is on the court, the Kings score like 45.2% of their points in the paint, right? So this entire offense is predicated on drive and kick. It's the paint touch they're looking for every single time. So if Davion is just aimlessly dribbling, that is the thing that is not part of what they're doing. When he does what Fox does, gets a ball, maybe takes a dribble or two, and then darts to the middle of the key, that's exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to shrink the defense and hit the open man. And if you can't get a bucket at the rim, find a guy on the perimeter really quickly. And I just think that, again, the 0.5 we talked about on Monday, that thought process, he has to start abiding by that rule as well. And that's something that I don't think he's quite grasped the concept of get the ball, make a decision, move off of it.
Tonight specifically, do you think he needs to play differently, being a starter and doing that? Do you, in thinking about, Fox's scoring not being there, do you think he has to make up for that a little bit? He's not going to score. I mean, he might, but I'm not looking for him to score 27. But should he be looking like, hey, they need me to get about 15 to 18 tonight?
Yeah, I mean, he should be looking that way every single night, that he should be looking to score 15 or 18 points and then prorate it for how many minutes he plays, right? And so tonight, he's going to get a big opportunity. He's going to be out there 35, 36 minutes, at least you would assume, unless they use Delhi a lot or they use like Malik Monk a bunch as the backup, as a backup point as well. But he needs to show that, like, when it's time for him to elevate and go up to that position, that he can do that, but then he can also go back and carry that into the next game with who he is with the other group. And like the opportunity to take over that second unit, it's there for anybody, right? We've talked about that. Like once you pull Keegan Murray out of the second unit and you put him in with the starters, like it's go time. Like Monk has a green light. Terrence Davis, when he's been in there, has had a green light. Anyone who steps on the floor has a green light with that second unit because that's what they need. So if Davion decides that's who he's going to be, but he does it within the flow, he does it within the parameters of the 0.5 seconds and all that stuff, then that's fine. But if he can't do that, then it really does gum up what they're trying to do.
Okay, that's James Ham, 1320 Kings Insider. We'll come back. We got Kings basketball coming up just about an hour from now. We'll talk more about the Kings and the Heat when we return here on Sacramento Sports Leader, ESPN 1320. There's a lot of action going on out here. I want to see if I can. Yeah, there's a legit. There's party number 2.
Yeah, there's a lot happening behind you.
Yeah, it is. It is like there's way more going on behind Jesse. There's an audience. Like there's a legit audience here.
Do they have someone doing something on the set?
Someone. Do you know who's here?
It's going to be someone amazing, and they've got to leave at 4:00, and you guys won't be able to meet them.
Well, it's someone. The 106.5 banner is up, so it's someone from who kind of fits into that demographic there.
Okay.
But yeah, I figure I'll go 3 screen to block off some of the traffic going on out there.
Yeah, like maybe I am being too tough on Davion, but I've also seen like it feels like defiance.
Yeah, you're beating the shit out of him. My goodness.
Yeah, it feels like defiance, to be honest with you, and like you have to accept. I've seen so many players come through here that refuse to accept who they can be today and grow on it from that. And like I get it. You want to be more and you work hard to be that person, but just be really good at what you do and all those things will come.
Yeah, I'm interested. I'll be curious to watch the approach tonight. He needs to. So, do you not like his shot selection? Prior to the Charlotte game,
there are times where I don't like his shot selection because they are not in the flow of the offense at all.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah, like they are. Again, 4 guys are doing one thing and he's doing something different. You know, like even I keep saying this, but like Rashawn Holmes, I don't think it's that he's not accepting his role. Is that I don't think Rashawn is like following the basic rules of the game that he needs to, and like he's not processing what they're doing quickly enough right now, and that's more his problem. I don't think it's like he doesn't want to be there or he's like pouting or anything else. I just think that he's always used to running down to underneath the basket as a rim runner and then turning around and standing underneath there and then counting to 5 and running out to the top to go set a screen. Where you see Sabonis instantly set the screen, instantly get into the flow of the offense, like boom, 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 boom. And so it's not even whether he can pass like Sabonis or not. He's getting offensive foul calls the whole time because the guards aren't waiting for him to finally get in position. And so he's trying to move while the guys are coming to him, and that's a problem. That's not how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, he does that too much for my like. As a coach and teacher of the game, I will look at that and be like, point guard, ball handler, that's your fault while moving before he was set. But it happens too often for Rashawn for it to always be the ball handler's fault. Like he's got to be. That can't happen. It happens like once a game with him.
Yeah, I think it probably happens twice a game. And if you're really watching it, you'll see that he's always late to that. Mm-hmm. And it is part of a coaching thing. But you have to remember that every player has it beat into their head now that they need a 0.5. At 0.5 of a second, you got to make a decision. So they're all ready to go. And if you're waiting for someone the whole time to get into position, you end up not wanting to wait, or just physically you're like, okay, I've already dribbled the ball 3 times. I don't want to be the guy who's standing here dribbling the ball the whole time. And my guy's not coming up to go set the play. And that's where it stands out. And again, it's Monk almost every single time. that's not waiting for Rashawn to get there. And then by the time Monk takes off, Rashawn's finally getting there and then runs into the guy and gets an offensive foul call. And it's just waiting that extra half second. But, again, they're being taught to go quicker. And one guy isn't following the basic rules of it in that situation. And again, I don't think it's defiance. I think it's just he needs to be more on top of it and more involved in it. Now I hate Monk. You see, they'll come up with me hating everyone. They'll come, yeah, everyone. I hate everyone.
This was my favorite, though. Davion told Ham he freezes too much. Now he hates him.
Yeah. Well, see, that's part of the problem. I don't want to be that guy who's freezing and not doing my job. I want to be part of everyone else. Yeah. So, yes, I'm frustrated that I freeze. Yeah.
I haven't seen this person here before. Miss Vang, she brought up a great point. Oh, this wasn't it, but she said trade for Porzingis. I was like,
oh,
that's the rim protector everybody's crying about, but he also stretches the floor.
I would be trading for Markkanen. I told you guys last year.
Oh yeah,
trade for Markkanen. Go pick him up.
I love Markkanen. I like it. No, but he can't ever stay healthy. That's his issue.
Yeah, but when he is healthy, just think of him in that offensive flow, especially if Keegan can play the 3. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden you have, if you do a move like that, you have the Barnes situation taken care of long term.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you guys think of this? The rumors that there's a West Coast team that's in quiet negotiations for Ben Simmons.
I was made aware of that during the show, and I don't know. Utah going for it.
You're risking being like an island of misfit toys if you're the Kings. If you were to do something like that,
I absolutely do not believe it's the Sacramento Kings.
Well, I don't. If it was the Kings, it depends
sense.
on what you're giving up.
Where are you playing him? Also,
well, my first thought is you're giving up Harrison. You play him at the 3.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's just hang on, James. We'll just
let's not start this rumor.
Might as well just bring it to the air. James asked, because the conversation did not stop during the commercial break. We just continued the conversation about Davion Mitchell over on youtube.com/ESPN1320 and twitch.tv/ESPN1320. We were trying to get to the root of James's hatred for Davion, and what we discovered is that James, in fact, hates Malik Monk too. So it was a weird commercial break. But
I'm the Oprah of Kings coverage. I hate you, and I hate you, and I hate you. You get hated. Yes, no.
And then James asked us, what do you think about the report that a West Coast team is in discussions to acquire Ben Simmons? Of course, I checked, and Sacramento still is in fact on the West Coast. We're in the Western Conference.
Yeah.
And immediately I just like, okay, we've been down this road before. What's it look like? What do you do with him? And I like Ben Simmons, but with what we've seen this season, what are you doing with him?
Well, in my opinion, the trade like that, if it was the Kings, it'd be I think our guy Pino, he had one that kind of fit, in my opinion. I'm trying to find. I can't find. Oh, there it is.
You got to start starring. You got to start. You got to start messages.
Barnes and Holmes for Ben Simmons.
Barnes and Holmes.
I mean, that works. You bring Ben in. He probably plays the 3. He's your perimeter defender.
Not getting those points back. Any of them. I mean, you don't got much from Rashawn. Don't do this. Don't do this.
What?
Don't be the guy that hates Harrison Barnes.
No, I don't hate Harrison Barnes.
Harrison Barnes has had 2 fine games in a row, and we ain't said a damn thing about him. He has 3 bad games, and we talked about him for 4 hours.
I don't.
Oh yeah.
But I'm just saying, if you were making a deal, that would be like where I'm going. I'm not giving up.
Darren called him Ben Okpala.
Yeah, that's rough. Yeah.
BS Akpala.
I'll say the difference, I mean, yeah, clearly the difference is that Ben Simmons is also an elite distributor. And I think that this team, you got Fox, you've got Sabonis. I think Monk has stepped up in certain situations and been a really good distributor as well. But if you had another guy for when Sabonis is off the court, whether it's foul trouble or just stepping off the court, and you could run the offense through another 6'10", 6'11" guy, have that length and that size, whether he's playing the power or the 3 or the 4, doesn't really matter. The fact that you have Keegan Murray to stretch the defense, that really does change things. The fact that Herter is playing as well as he is, that Fox is hitting his threes, it might get a little gummed up, but man, that's a big cutter. Like if you had Ben Simmons cutting, and I'm not saying do that. I definitely think that, Simmons, he's kind of broken, and you got to figure out if you can fix him. And I thought he was broken last year, and like Sacramento would have been a great landing spot for him to kind of figure out things in like obscurity.
Apparently,
but then,
playing with Kyrie hasn't fixed him.
No, and playing in KD's shadow, that's not easy either. Those are really high usage players, and I think if you're moving him to an offense that like has the sharing is caring deal that the Kings have right now, like they're 5th in the league in offensive and assist percentage. Like if you're moving him to a team that really does have like a West Coast vibe, offense vibe, then that makes sense to me. I'm not sure that it would work out, and the back injury worries me. The mental aspect of the game worries me, but I also know that Sacramento, they embrace you. Philadelphia, they hate you as one of your own players. Your fan base can turn on you so fast. And I think New York is the same way. They turn on you so fast. I think the only reason he's not drawing the ire of everyone is because of everything else that's happening there, that everything has gone horribly wrong. And that is a crazy, dysfunctional, like horrific franchise at this point.
Okay. Well,
why not?
I don't know.
To quote Nick.
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not? Shirt available over at deuceandmo.com.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that's fictitious for now.
Yeah.
We'll see what materializes out of it. We'll get back to the game tonight. It's the Sacramento Kings in Miami to take on the Miami Heat for the second time in 3 games for the second time in 5 days. We learned Jimmy Butler is out tonight, in addition to De'Aaron Fox being out. I was surprised Tyler Hero, not even on the injury report after missing the entire second half of yesterday's game after getting poked in the eye. He got Rashawned yesterday.
Yeah, he did, and he has a bruised eye. Like that's not pleasant.
Does not sound good. Yeah,
especially for
I guess. Yeah, Rashawn had a lacerated eye. I start to think too, is part of Rashawn's problem just the goggles? Like I know that seems stupid.
It could be,
but like he's fixing his goggles like 47 times a game. I really do wish he had some like croquis, like the little things that stick on the end, and just like so just tighten the strap up on the back so his glasses stay on his face.
One time, I did not like it.
Yeah,
not at all.
Was it like when LeBron played with sleeves and he ripped them off during the game?
That's essentially how I felt. That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
It was all bad. So
did you throw him into the stands? Did you hit a referee like Robert Covington did?
I probably should have. I was in the 6th grade, but yeah, I probably should have threw it at somebody. I did not.
And you were out there looking like Urkel, like what's going on? I like it.
I had just got some stitches above my head, and that was the way we figured out how to protect them. Just wear some goggles. They didn't last.
Yeah.
Didn't like it at all. So maybe that is.
Maybe it is. Maybe it's. I thought James in the Miami game, Charlotte, Miami. Yeah, I thought in the Miami game he played pretty well. I thought he was effective. He did, the points, the rebound, but you noticed him on the floor, and I thought he was a part of what they were doing and how they got that win against Miami.
Yeah, I really thought he played spectacular defense on Bam. Like Bam got his points, but I think he worked really hard. He wasn't very efficient. Like, I thought they did a really good job on Bam, and I thought he specifically did a really good job on Bam. But the first half wasn't great, and you remember they had to go to Alex Len the first half again. And that kind of shows you, like, it's not working all the time, but that second half he settled in, and they need it. I mean, again, I don't know what's going on with Sabonis and why he keeps getting all of these fouls, but, like, you can't let a Plumlee get like foul you out of a game. And it just seems like every single game, it's just, the guy's averaging 4.7 fouls a game, and per 36, it's at like 5.8 fouls per game. Like, I don't even know what's happening there. He's the problem is, it's not just the fouls are limiting his minutes. It's that when he is in the game, he's worried about the fouls, and it's limiting his effectiveness while he's in the game. And so it's not just missing time. It's like missing time and playing like a guy with 4 fouls half the time.
Yeah, it really is bizarre. And some of it is on him. Some of it is just bad fortune, bad luck, because some of these calls are atrocious.
Questionable.
To say it lightly. So it's one of those things where I'm looking at it, James, where I don't think these things continue. You know, I don't think this is a year-long thing. I think it's a bad stretch as far as, like, you know, always being in foul trouble. There's a part of his game that is going to be in foul trouble more times than not, just because he's really physical. And, you know, he's kind of heavy with his feet, heavy-footed, things of that nature. So I think it's not the end of it, but I think this is just like a really magnified bad stretch. I think he'll play his way out of it. I don't think we'll see as many foul trouble situations in the coming games.
Yeah, and Sean brought up something on the podcast last night, that he's just coming from Europe, where he played in Eurobasket, and not only that, but like he's going up against Valanciunas every day at practice while they're getting ready, and so like the physicality of that game versus the physicality in the NBA, what's allowed in that game versus what's allowed in this game, and then like I think the other problem is, the Kings defense, it's gotten better. You know, right now they're 20th in the league in defensive rating. That's much better than the 27th they finished last year, the 30th they finished year before that. But they still have a lot of blow-bys, and they still put him in bad position quite often. And he's also going one-on-one all the time, and guys are getting physical and they're getting calls. I don't think that, like, whether that's a point of emphasis this year or not, I'm not sure. I'll just tell you that I don't understand how he's getting so many fouls, and how De'Aaron Fox, who's at the rim finishing all the time, is averaging 4.4 free throws per game. Like, he's down off of 2 years ago. He's down like 2.83 free throws per game attempted off of where he should be. And it's not like he stopped going to the basket. He's still in the key all the time. And we're not even seeing him do as many pull-up jumpers as he was last year. So I'm wondering when that it's going to translate to good things for the Kings, because it's not. Although I will say he's up to 84% as a free throw shooter, and Barnes is right there too.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that is infuriating that he's not getting those calls, and he's spending as much time at the basket as he is. He's spending as much time at least trying to get to the basket, because our concern was, if he continues to not get those calls, how much more is he going to continue to be aggressive in going to the basket? Does it, you know, that's going to start to take a toll at some point. You're going in there, you're getting knocked around by those big dudes, and you're not getting rewarded for it. At some point, what the hell am I going to go in there for?
Yeah, I think he's like top 3 in like shot attempts at the basket. Like, how does that make any sense that he's not getting any foul calls at all? Like, even like I point out the one play where they looked at it again and they said that the ball against Miami, the ball went off of De'Aaron out of bounds late in the game. And it looked like it at first, I think they called it off of Bam, and then they reversed it and they called it off of De'Aaron. The whole time De'Aaron's showing the ref his arm. So they gave the Heat the ball because, yes, the ball went off of Fox, but they didn't give Bam the foul when they went back and reviewed it, which was clear. And it's like, how many times do you have to lose a ball out of bounds that you're clearly getting fouled and not get a foul call until somebody calls something? And It really is, like, it's baffling. And, last season the Kings were one of the best teams in the league at getting to the line. They were, like, really high up in free throw attempts per game. Mm-hmm. It's just, they're just not getting the calls. And on the other end, they're getting all of the calls. And I'll point this out too. It's kind of like changing pitchers in Major League Baseball. Like, it's just making the game so slow and so hard to watch. So I don't know why we're seeing so many foul calls, especially early in games. To me, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And all they can do is just keep playing their game. And I hear what Damian is saying about sometimes you just get frustrated and stop playing a certain way if you're not getting the benefit of it. But that's where Mike Brown comes into play, to remind them that, hey, you guys are doing the right thing. I am a firm believer in all of basketball. Like, it all balances out. Like, it all balances out. You, at the end of
you new here too, huh?
Well, in those situations, like at the end of the year, they'll go to the line as many times this year as they did last year.
They have not balanced out the 2002 Western Conference Finals yet, Kenny. So I'm going to say that you're erroneous. Yeah,
but they just got to keep doing what they do. Like James said, stay aggressive, stay playing that game, and they'll start to get some calls to get the benefit of the doubt of it, hopefully. But you can never be sure with these refs because they're just so bad at their job.
You know what we're at though? We're at that point though where Mike Brown needs to get a tech. We are like between
James,
the Sabonis issue.
Share a brain,
hey, James. I said, I said maybe even before this game. But if Sabonis is in foul trouble again in this game, what? Oh, that was about four. If Sabonis is in foul trouble again after this game, if I'm Uncle Vivek, I'm saying, hey, Mike, I got the fine. Go off on these referees, because that would have been, 4 times in 7 games where he's battling foul trouble or gets fouled out, and I would go off. It's almost that time, James.
I think so too. It is. It's almost time for him to just like go berserk and let somebody hear it, and because it's on both ends. That's why it's that you're not getting the calls with Fox, and you're getting all of the calls with Sabonis, and it just feels unbalanced.
We talked about Sabonis's game first time around against Miami. Obviously, the foul trouble was infuriating and eventually fouling out, but he was 8 of 9 in that game. Kevin Huerter, the greatest player to ever don a Sacramento Kings uniform, was 7 of 8 from 3 in that game against Miami. You got to assume, just an assumption, that Miami went over that film pretty closely. Looking at Kevin Huerter dropping 27 on them, what adjustments do you think Miami makes against the Kings tonight to try to minimize the greatest player to ever don a Kings uniform, Kevin Huerter?
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting because clearly their point of emphasis last game was to not stop Sabonis from scoring, and Sabonis was having a spectacular game. I mean, he put up huge numbers. You look at his numbers, you're like, okay, wait, you only played 22 minutes?
Yeah.
If the Kings can get Sabonis rolling like that, there's nothing you can do about stopping Huerter, especially if you have somebody else breaking the paint. Huerter's just locked and loaded, and he's floating around the perimeter. He moves so well without the ball. He's always in proper shooting position. He's always ready to just catch and shoot. And what we're seeing from him, like we talked about it coming into the season, all I needed was like 3 more 3-point attempts and 2 more free throw attempts, and Huerter is instantly between 16 and 18 points a game. Like, it was the easiest formula to see ever of how one player could be so much better, and we're seeing it play out. Now, the fact that he's hitting 53%, like, let's be honest, he's going to finish the season around 40, 42%. Maybe he finishes at 45.
That's not being honest. He's staying at 53.
Yeah, I think, he could fade a little bit here, but at the end of the day, like, if you've got a 3-point shooter that's anywhere near like that range and who's shooting that much, I'm going to say it. I want 2 to 3 more 3-point attempts from him every game. I want to see more Kevin Huerter.
In Charlotte that you wanted. He got to that 10. I think he was 5 of 10 against Charlotte. And that stood out because I remember James was like, he's got to get to 10. And then obviously Kevin Herter was listening. He's like, "Oh, I got you, James.
You got me." Well,
5 of 10.
Yeah, I mean, the potential is there for him to be really good, and he's averaging something like 3.7 assists per game. Like, oh no, is he over 4? I think he is at 4.
4.2. 4.2.
Yeah, he just went up because he led the team in assists this last game with, I think, 6. Yeah, this is a guy who, like, this offense is built for him. We talked about it last year when the Kings acquired Sabonis. They didn't just get him, but they got Justin Holiday. And it was something crazy, like 33% or 7% of all of Sabonis's assists went to Holiday. Well, Kevin Herter's just the same. Like, he's found out how to do it. And then he's got to Sacramento and he didn't forget how to shoot the 3 ball. So he's just firing away like, oh, this is fun.
You know what I like about Kevin Herter's game as well is there will be times he's hitting from 3. He'll get his 7, 8, 9, 10 shot attempts from beyond the arc up. But there'll be times where they'll overplay at the 3 and he'll curl and get into the paint, get into the foul line area and hit a little pull up there. He's not going to just live or die at the 3-point line. If he has an opportunity to get to the hole or get a mid-range shot or something like that, he'll take advantage of it. I like that maturity in his game.
Yeah, he was built for this opportunity, totally. And it is what it is. Like, I think he's going to be a guy who's in the running for most improved player. I think he clearly is going to be the starting shooting guard for this team for the next 4 years, alongside Fox. And like, this is a good moment for him. He's just been really, really good.
You must be so proud.
Yep.
I got Sabonis going near triple-double tonight.
Yeah.
That's my prediction for tonight. I hope the Kings win, but I think we see a big night from Domantas Sabonis. I think a lot of the offense, even with Davion in there, I think a lot of the offense is, and though this isn't a hot take to say the offense is going to run through Sabonis, I think it more so might tonight with De'Aaron Fox out, and I think he hits numbers close to a triple-double. That's my prediction for tonight's game.
Kenny, what do you got?
I'm gonna go. I think my guy Woody Cube in the chat talked about it earlier, but I'm gonna go with him. I think Keegan goes off tonight.
Oh, his big disappointment game earlier this week. It's the monumental bounce back moment.
I think Keegan goes off. I see Keegan going for like 25.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
nobody projecting wins or losses here. Just
yeah, you know what? I think Keegan is primed for a big game.
Okay.
But I'll also tell you, Kevin Herter career high is 29, which he set in his rookie season. Every single game, it feels like, except for the Golden State game, it feels like, ooh, he might get there.
Like 27 against Miami the first time.
Yeah, like he's got potential to hit that number. And as long as they're moving the ball and sharing and everybody's getting involved, 11 guys right now, averaging at least 1 assist per game. Like, this team is moving the ball.